they were hired essentially just on the spot. They had no security experience. These were everyday people. You know, if I wanted to apply to be a security person at Astroworld Festival, I probably would have been hired. No security experience at all. Some of these people didn't even have background checks. There's a woman who, you know, recorded herself on TikTok, thankfully, and told her story. Her and her husband and her nephew were hired, no background checks, no training at all. They fly or they drive from Dallas the day of, and they're told, hey, y'all are going to go here. Some of you guys are going to go there. And essentially the payment for it was you get to go to Astroworld for free. And so once there, they don't know what they're doing. They're not properly trained. Y'all have seen the videos in the beginning where crowds are already trampling the barricades to get in, right? To bypass security, where so many people were able to sneak in because of this lax security. And so that's the part that I know that we are just so frustrated about, is because this could have been avoided had they cared just even a little bit. You know, even if you don't have a performer like Travis Scott, who's known to incite his fans, who's known to create mayhem, this is still such an egregious mistake. Even if you don't have a performer like Travis Scott. But the fact that you do have a performer like Travis Scott, somebody, like I said, that has such a track record of doing this, and then you hire security firms who are going to hire random people to act as security, it's pitiful. There's no reason that this should have happened. The only reason that I can think of is they wanted to cut corners, and they wanted to just pay these people as little as they can and get fans, honestly, to be security so that they could go and see the festival. And again, from the same woman's account, you know, she's saying that her supervisor, who they were supposed to be in charge of a team of these security personnel, wanted to just stay in the back, hit on girls that were there and drink. Some of these security people literally took off their security vests and just blended in with the crowd because they wanted to enjoy themselves.
And if I may, Ms. Tavares, one of the most infuriating things here, and we've all seen the videos, whether they're on TikTok, whether they're on Facebook, Twitter, of the crowd goers who were terrified trying to get staff to jump into action. We had these crowd goers that were there to enjoy, you know, their favorite artists, and they're having to jump in to be security guards. They're having to jump in to be EMS. They're trying to revive people on the floor. They're doing the job of what Live Nation and all of the other defendants should have been doing. It's absolutely unacceptable. This should never have happened. And I think that, you know, one of the most promising things is that we have gotten so much information from Twitter, from all of these social media, documenting and doing a very, very good job of documenting what exactly happened, which was an absolute failure on the part of the Travis Scott, Drake, Live Nation, and everyone else to provide a safe, fun environment for their fans. I mean, if you care at all about your fans, please make a safe concert. That was not done here. Lives could have been saved. It infuriates me. With that, I apologize. I'm even getting emotional. I'd like our client, Pescador, to
Mr. Chairman, is it okay if you give some sound in Spanish first?
I really did get emotional, excuse me. Hemos visto las noticias, videos del que pasó y nuestros hijos, hijas, hermanos y hermanas. No es justo. No es justo. Los abogados de Cesar Ornelas Law queremos que la gente sepa que ya hemos presentado 4 demandas al corte en nombre de nuestros clientes y ese número está creciendo. Y por favor, llámanos si ustedes han tenido algo de este concierto. Vamos contra Travis Scott, Drake, Cactus Jake Records y Live Nation para nombrar algunos de los acusados. Y este es lo que sabemos. 1. El personal de seguridad no estaba debidamente capacitado para un evento de este tamaño. 2. Travis Scott y Live Nation tienen un historial de crear entornos peligrosos para los asistentes a sus conciertos. Y lo más triste, este incidente podría haber evitado. Vidas podrían haberse salvado con la planificación necesaria, que no era el caso en este evento. Y no es justo. Gracias.
No, gracias, Giancarlo. Hector, if you want to tell your story in English, and
yeah.
if you can pull your mask down just while you speak, if that's okay.
Yeah. Well,
Take it home.
well, actually, no.
Okay, whatever makes you more
I'll speak it clearer. The night of Astroworld, at the beginning of the festival, it was obviously arriving there was a really large amount of people already. Things escalated until we started to move to the stage where Travis Scott was going to perform, which, if I'm not mistaken, was the Thrill stage. He was the only one performing, and at the moment when we got there, there was as many people as there was until probably 45 minutes before he started performing. Everything inside it, prior to the 30-minute mark that he put, which is the timer of him coming out, that's when everything started getting worse. To the point where we were standing, where we couldn't move, our hands were pushed together, we couldn't raise our hands. And once we had them down, we couldn't pick them up. If we had them up, we couldn't put them down. That was how full it was. People that were in the very back pushing to the front. I was in the beginning of the concert in the very front, probably like around 7 feet from the barricade. This barricade, obviously, it was probably from left to right, from tree line to tree line. There was no way to get out of there. The only thing that was separated was the middle, was where all the VIP section was able to move, and whenever, I'm guessing, security guard had to go through the middle. So it was, so the stage right here, and then it was the barricade, and then one middle portion. So already at that point, we were already restricted more than we were if it was open fully. It would have been so much easier. Sorry, so I'm like reliving it.
Take your time.
10 minutes prior to the performance, what's it called? There was already a fatality that somebody had mentioned. That's 10 minutes before he had come out. People were already mentioning in the front row, which is in front of us, right by where the barricade was, that there was somebody that was not. We were already squished to the, we couldn't take him out. They tried to take him out. Once they took him out, we saw the ball. At that point, I had a couple of people that were around me, and that's when I told them to go ahead and try to get out, because I had a feeling in my heart that something bad was about to happen, and exactly what happened was what I was hopeful. You know, it was. I saw these people being carried out, thinking that, you know, dehydration, they didn't eat anything. I did not expect them to be deceased already, and the fact that they didn't stop the concert before that, I don't understand. I don't get it. If they already knew that there were people that were deceased, why not stop the show even before he came out? When he came out, thankfully, thank the Lord, I was able to get out, probably like a couple of seconds before he even started. I was telling the people behind us while we were trying to escape through the small section that somebody had already died. People were confused. People didn't believe us. They stayed there and they didn't move. So after that, we went to the back. I obviously stayed there because I, you know, like, what else was I going to do? You know, like, trying to understand the situation in my head. Like, I'm not. The concert progressed. You saw more people coming out. More people coming out. I saw a total of 3 people that were already passed away. The last person was the worst one. After the concert had finished, Behind the GA section, there was a gentleman that was thrown on the floor already blue. And not until the concert finished was when we saw the medical staff going towards him to give CPR to him. But by that time, it was already late. The man was already blue. Two people they went ahead and the first medic tried to give him CPR. He was already not responsive. Second one came in, took over, nothing. EKG, nothing. He was already gone. By that time, they just put him in the stretcher, took him out, and that's it. And that's essentially what everybody, everybody that was passed away was that they were doing. They didn't care for their life. They're just like, oh, okay, he's not responsive, go to the next one, and just threw him out like they were nothing. And that's the reason why I'm here, and because I feel for people that passed away, and especially the person that is closer to me, which is Rudy Peña. He was my little brother's. He was in school with my brother. He was his teammate in Nixon High School, and when he told me that's what devastated the most. Seeing my little brother sad and angry at the same time, and it really put me on wanting to come out here. I drove 2 hours and a half to come here just to speak to all of you guys, just so everybody in the world can know that this could have been avoided if only they would have listened to everybody that was saying, because there was a large portion of the crowd that was talking, that was saying to stop the show. They never did. Never.
How old are you again?
I'm 28 years old. I am engaged, have a wife, I have 2 beautiful children.
Before we get to questions, I'm sorry, Hector, thank you for sharing. Can you try to go through that again in Spanish? I know
Yeah.
It's emotional.
Yeah. La noche del concierto de Travis Scott, cuando yo estaba ahí, yo fui solo para el concierto. Estaba ahí con unas personas que yo conocí en el grupo. Ahí en Houston conocí a 3 personas en total. Uno era de Louisiana, otro era de Los Ángeles, etcétera, etcétera. Todo el concierto, 10 minutos de todo lo que pasó, ya había una persona fallecida en el grupo, por enfrente de donde está el barricade. I don't know how to say barricade, I'm sorry. Sacaron a la persona, muy apenas la sacaron, solamente lo sacaron porque había muchas personas empujando para atrás para sacarla. Ya cuando la persona la sacaron, la persona esta ya estaba fallecida. Ya no tenía pulse, no estaba respirando la persona. Después de lo que pasó, no estoy seguro, pero eso es lo que yo sé, lo que pasó antes de que tratábamos de salir, yo y las personas que estábamos con. Yo les comenté, va a haber un problema muy grande porque ya estamos así de apretados y el concierto todavía no comienza. El momento que los 30 minutos comenzó, entonces todos los comenzamos a empujar contra todos. Al momento, se me va a comentar esto en inglés, tenía una bolsa de agua en mi espalda. La bolsa de agua es una camel back. So, tiene un plástico grueso. El plástico se reventó con la agua. Eso es cuánta fuerza había de las personas que estaban empujando. Y eso hasta este momento no puedo pensar, porque como una bolsilla eso se truena con cosas así. Se supone que es algo que debe de tener mucha... sí, exactamente, sí. Y eso es lo que no entiendo. Al momento ese, les comenté a las personas, como estaba diciendo, que lo salgamos porque ni ha empezado el concierto y ya estaba bien mal la situación. So, al momento les estamos avisando a las personas tras nosotros, alguien se murió, los tenemos que salir. Se están muriendo las personas, la verdad. Y al momento de eso se movieron y vi que nomás se juntaron de nuevo. No había nada de no sabes qué, vamos a salirnos porque es un problema muy grande. Una muerte de algo. Al momento ese nos salimos para atrás, el concierto siguió. Al momento cuando estaba el concierto siguiendo, miramos a 2 personas otra vez cargándolas, otra vez sin vida. Y todo esto fue comentario de las personas que estaban ahí, que porque pues es algo que se dice porque pues se checa a la persona, y al momento que la checaron ya estaba fallecida. Cuando se estaba terminando el concierto, todos los salimos, los estábamos saliendo, y afuera de GA habían two TVs, dos monitores grandes para que las personas que no alcanzaron a ver puedan ver ahí. Ahí abajito había una persona que ya estaba ya fallecida. Estaba azul la persona. Ese es el momento que una persona le comenzó a hablar y le dice, no, ¿sabes qué? Este señor ya no está. Le sigue, el médico corre, va uno, lo trata de darle el CPR, no funciona. Y luego le dijo, no, ¿sabes qué, señor? Tú dale otra vez. Otro señor vino, le hizo también, le pusieron EKG, tampoco. Y nomás ahí lo levantaron, lo sacaron y ya, se acabó. No había urgencia de las personas que estaban fallecidas, para nada. Y las personas que estaban ahí también, que estaban viendo todo esto, o las personas que estaban así apretadas, yo estaba bien adolorido por casi 4 días, 5 días. Y hasta ahorita, porque pues toda la fuerza que estaba apretado, todos los músculos los tenías por 4 o 5 días, que tenía que ir para el hospital y para el doctor para poder checarme internamente, que esté todo bien.
¿Pensaste que en un momento dado te podías morir como el resto?
Al momento sí, sí había una situación donde perdí mi estado de parar, casi me caigo. Una persona me agarró de buenas y esa persona ni la conozco, gracias a Dios que sí me agarró. Otra persona también enseguida de mí, ya me lo se caía y también yo lo agarré por la chaqueta. Y me dijo, muchas gracias. Y yo con el pensamiento que nomás era, no, pues nomás se va a caer. Pero sabiendo eso ya cómo fue todo, le salvé la vida. Y eso yo lo sé.
How have you been able to manage your mental health after experiencing something like that weren't sleep at night? So is this something that you and your family are having to deal with still?
I've been sleeping around 3 to 4 hours. The current thought in my head is, how did I make it up? That's what keeps me up at night. Knowing that I went there to have fun and to know that it could have been me. I live with my wife and with my 2 kids. Thankfully, my wife is very headstrong. She's the one that's keeping me on the ground and giving me all the support that I need at the moment.
You're engaged, but you call her your wife?
Yeah, it's just a common law thing. It's just something that, I've been with her for 16 years, I'm sorry. And
So
it's
going
already...
into this concert, did you all have any trepidations at all, any fears before you arrived there?
The only fear was the amount of people. That's the only thing. I mean, a small space is a common fear, not being able to breathe and stuff, and yeah.
I know.
Were you or anyone you with physically hurt?
No. With me personally, that I took, no. I went to the trip by myself.
But you were with physically hurt.
Oh, no, on the ground, no, thankfully. In front of me, a couple of people in front of me, yes. But
Do you want to maybe let them know about the falling and how you can move and whatnot?
Because you
Maybe
only said that in
addresses-
English.
oh yeah, sorry. What I said in Spanish earlier was about the fact that I almost fell. Is that part right?
And about, how your body's still hurting and stuff.
and how
Oh
the
yeah,
told you
and
to, like,
the fact that how I was trapped, and I was sore for a good days. Right now I'm a little bit sore. I went to the doctor, went to the hospital. They checked me internally, and they checked me outside. The physical therapist to check.
Matt, how did you, one more time, and I'm sorry if you've already told us, but how did you make your way out such a constricted area?
I told people that that somebody had died in front, and at that moment people were so confused and trying to wonder what do you mean? That they were so confused that people started separating little by little. But it took me literally almost 15 minutes to get up. That's how constricted it was. It just pushed my way through and tried to get through, but even then it was almost impossible.
¿Podrías ir a un concierto igual?
Con la cantidad de personas no creo. Di que si yo sé que va a ser si yo sé que va a ser que sí van a tener la seguridad correcta, hicieron, ahora ya sé qué es lo que para un festival grande, y viéndolo visualmente vi que las cantidad de personas era mucho más de lo que tenía que ser.
You had to travel over 6 hours.
Mhm.
Can you talk about your mindset of going up to a concert? Were you excited? What is going
The
through
whole entire way I was playing Cactus Jack records. The whole entire way I was listening to Travis Scott. The whole entire way I was listening to Don Toliver, Roddy Ricch, Lil Baby. Excited to see all the favorite artists that I've been listening to on a daily basis for years. Well, that was the last thought in my head. I had no negative thought. Everything was positive, and I'm pretty sure anybody that passed away had the same mentality. And yeah.
¿Qué tan cerca estuviste del escenario? ¿Qué tan cerca
6 a 7 pies de lo que era lo del barricade. Pero porque todavía había VIP section enfrente y había mucho más espacio para que la área de VIP pueda ser más para adelante.
¿Qué piensas ahora de Travis Scott? Tú dices que estás escuchando y hubo un momento en que la gente ya estaba muerta y él siguió cantando como si nada. ¿Qué piensas tú de Travis Scott?
Ya algo general, ¿verdad? Algo dependiendo en la persona. Una persona puede decir, pues todavía me gusta el artista por la música y todo eso. Por mí ahorita ando un poco más frustrado con el que no quiero escucharlo al momento porque ya sé que es algo que podía evitar. Pero eso es... Sí.
So clear in English, please?
At this moment, I do, like I said, like it all depends to Travis Scott because there's a large amount of people that do. Some people are into the whole rage, or you know what, that's whatever. There's some people that are a little bit more, they feel the situation because of the ability that he had to stop.
And then for you personally, for this gentleman,
I went to Spotify and I disliked the artist, so he doesn't play anything on my playlist at the moment. So that pretty much.
So obviously there's a lot of people around here. People who did the pushing are as
Of course.
as the artist and find out who those people are, will you bring suit against them?
So I don't. These are people who, they are not in charge of putting on this concert, on planning this concert, on doing security for this concert. They do not know the bigger picture here. So the blame here is for the planners, the organizers, the security personnel, the people who are in charge of the security personnel, who know the bigger picture here, who know the amount. They have all these contingencies in place, right? Who have for crowd surges. These things happen, right? We've been to ACA, we've been to large festivals where stuff like this doesn't happen. You have crowd surges, it's natural. But the fault here is on the planners and organizers. I understand how people want to say everybody is equally liable because people were pushing forward. Unfortunately, that's what happens at concerts, and it's the type of level where it's mayhem and where people are literally being squished and trampled to death.
With
And-
that being, oh, sorry.
and to piggyback on that, and there are steps. I mean, there are music festivals all across the world, and this does not happen. Why? Because there are proper procedures in place. There are properly trained security personnel on the scene to ensure that the pushing does not become. If there's any form of anyone seeing that happening, the proper personnel are there to put step A in motion, step B in motion, step C in motion, so that this does not happen. That did not happen here.
I do have just two questions on that, in that regard as well.
Microphone. That's what I'm going to say. They had the microphone to speak to everybody. I mean, it could incite a riot, and he said, "Okay, stop pushing. Wait, I got some stuff here." He has a mic. He has. Everyone's going to listen to him.
So legally, he's the one that put on this festival. Him and his record company put on this festival. Him and his company, promotion company, put on this festival. he himself has a history of doing this time and time again. You are in charge, right? He is like the CEO of this. He is in charge of, again, the planning, the organizing, making sure that everything is to a T so that something like this does not happen, number one. Number two, when he goes on stage and he tells people, right, there's a video of him saying, like, let's rage, and people are yelling, no, please don't. Like Hector was saying, people are begging him to stop. He even calls out and says, oh, there's red and blue lights. I see an ambulance coming. He still doesn't stop, right? Him and Drake are on stage as this is happening. As a surprise, Drake is huge, right? I mean, everybody loves Drake. He's coming on as a surprise guest. And you know, I mean, they're friends. You know what type of person Travis Scott is. You know what this type of event is going to be. And when you're on stage and when people are crying and screaming for help, and like Hector said, you have a platform and these people are literally hanging at your every word and you don't do anything, then yes, you are liable, definitely.
And to give you an example, actually, because this has created sort of a personal rabbit hole for other artists. And one that just popped up, and I know that these are completely different music, genres, but at an Adele concert, one person passed out, and as Hector said, she had the mic. The artist had the mic. She had the mic and said, let's stop, please, can we take care of them? Had Travis Scott done this,
At the same time, emotional after the fact, he is trying to pay for funeral expenses and refunding everybody their tickets and stuff like that. Is that something that gives you guys at least a little sense of relief that he's trying, or what?
Well, you're talking about a multimillionaire who profits off of situations like this, right? He's partnered up with Better Health, I think, right, to give away, free counseling. Again, I think everything that he's doing, but especially with the free counseling, because that really bothered me, like a deeper dive into it, and saw that as well. As far as the funerals, that's the very least that he can do. Again, this is a multi-millionaire who has made his career off of situations like this. And for him to do the very bare minimum, and if you look at his video, I wasn't at the concert, so I can't even imagine, like, people like Hector, what they think when they see his video, when he's grabbing his head. Because we didn't hear from him, right, until a couple of days performing, and then a couple of days later put out this video where he, wants to for this online therapy that people can get therapy. I think that that's this very bare minimum. So,
and let's highlight one thing here. This isn't the severity of this has caught the world's attention, but this is not a one-off. Travis Scott and Live Nation have a history of unsafe concerts. They're in litigation, I think, right now with a couple. I believe Live Nation, there was a over $100 million judgment against them for a stage malfunction. So there's a history here, and we really need to focus on that, because they've been on notice, and they haven't done anything enough. One can hope that this is enough, that they will not let this happen again, and that nobody will let this happen again.
One more time, can you list this case, and if you guys, I don't know if you have this yet, but you say you have 4 that you are pursuing. I don't know if that's
right, for each client, there's a certain threshold that put it over $1 million. As far as the defendants, there are 13 in total. score more. All County Sports and Convention Center, which is the park. Firms that we have been able to identify that. And I believe, yes, that is it. There's just different variations on the names, so that's why that's more than I think it's up to 13.
So was your client aware of Travis Scott's history with concerts before he went to the concert?
And so I think that, right, Travis Scott's history and what he does, I think maybe that's very, whether or not he was aware that Travis Scott likes to tell people to rage and go crazy and mosh, doesn't really, like, again, these people weren't the people in charge of this event, right? They, even if you know, right, if you go to, I can't even think, like a rock band who is known to like get everybody to mosh, there's going to be security, there's going to be no are tempted to ask that question, right? Why are we placing the blame on these companies when these individuals did know his history? But they do not have, they paid for this service. They paid to go there to enjoy their favorite artists and to think that they're safe. So did he, I mean, whether these people, they probably did. They're fans of Travis Scott, but that's really not the point, and that's not where the culpability lies.
En el caso de Drake, por ejemplo, y es algo que quisiera que comentaran en español, el agente es muy querido, Drake, obviamente no estuvo involucrado, aunque estaba en el stage. Quisiera que ustedes me dijeran, desde el punto de vista de abogado, ¿por qué en este caso alguien como Drake, que estaba atrás, es parte de esta demanda?
Porque él tenía el micrófono. Él tenía una vista que estaba pasando, total. Y no ha dicho nada. Solo nomás seguir con su amigo en el escenario a cantar y a hacer lo que sea, pero él podía decir algo y no lo ha hecho.
¿Cómo que podía haber dicho?
Pues, paramos, todo el mundo, paramos. Yo veo que tenemos un chaos aquí, tenemos gente aquí que están está azul en la cara y tenemos fallecidos, se nota. Para todo, por favor, todo, tranquilo. Yo soy Drake, del mundo, Drake. Todo el mundo sabe quién es Drake. No ha hecho nada.
What about your online comments you mentioned earlier?
So guys, after this, I'm sorry, we're gonna wrap it up, and they're printing out copies of the lawsuit for you. It's brief, it's only like 5 pages, mainly so you have the,
How much of those are, can you use in court, you know, what you read online, these comments of?
Well, right now, what we're doing is we're just building up our file, right? All of this investigation, whether or not it's admissible or not, is obviously a different question. That's a good question. But it helps with our investigation. It points us in the direction of who we're going after, one, which the list is quite expansive. But two, it's going to help us paint a picture to a jury what happened, what deficiencies there were, and the extreme horror that these individuals went through. You know, there are past, and I think that number is
It's
9.
increasing.
I think there's a 9-year-old right now that's still in critical condition. Let's all, you know, say a prayer for him and his family. But that number is growing, and whether or not you're a part of that group, of that catastrophic event, the trauma that took place with so many of these people trying to revive people on the floor. Most people don't see dead bodies in their life, much less at a music festival. This trauma will follow them forever, and they shouldn't have to bear that burden.
And I just, to your original point, sorry, and to back to the question, right? Those encourage as many people as they can to speak up and to record that in some sort of or a written statement. I can't even that we are going to have in this litigation, because it's just, I mean, it's going to be crazy, right? But those firsthand accounts are so important, especially in our investigation. In our investigation, we probably are going to add more defendants, right? As soon as we get more information about who was involved. I know there were several other security companies involved. And the other, right, governmental entities too that were there that apparently didn't do anything as well or didn't do enough.
All right, guys, if you have follow-ups, go ahead and email me. I gotta get them to the next one. So thank you very much.
Thank you all so much.
You all
I'm gonna
should have
leave,
my email
everyone, I'm
address,
gonna leave
and
my
I'll get
cards
you,
right
yeah,
here.
and email them for follow-ups. You know, right now. So much like Gabrielle Burkhart. Gabrielle Burkhart, yeah.
Thank you all so much.
de prensa en este momento con dos de los abogados que están representando a personas que pues, estuvieron